In the 2024 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Caleb Williams, quarterback, Southern California.
You down with PCP? You down with PCP? You down with PCP?
Shit, fuck Green Bay.
I'm trying to get like the. Is this the dance move, DJ? To the opener?
No.
No.
No,
I'm like, this doesn't work either, right?
no.
Or you can just
But just like, no.
at this time you
Just drop the dance, huh? Drop the dance all together with. What is up, guys? Thank you for joining us on this wonderful hot summer night. We're excited because we have Kenneth Davis from NBC Sports Chicago is going to join us in just a moment, and we are very excited, guys. Let's not waste too much of his time. So, how you guys doing? Everything cool? Good to go.
Hey, my lights are on.
Your lights are working. Yeah, last week you were in Walmart getting lanterns on the show. That was fun.
Yeah,
I made it for the start this
hey,
week. So,
Walker's here
things
from
are
the
looking
beginning.
up.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
We
It's
already hit the curve.
man, I'm feeling like it's going to be a fun show tonight.
And guess what? We're gonna have another black guy on the show with me.
Oh, we know how much you love that.
Yeah, well, you know, hey, you know me.
You down with BCP?
You know me. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Guys,
right to the paneling comment, though. I just got to right to it, man. There was like that on it.
I'm getting all thrown off by everything. Okay, let us remind you that we are brought to you by BetUS. Make sure that you download the app today and get a 125% sign-up bonus with the link below, bit.ly/BearsCountryPodcast-BetUS. And make sure that you also go on your mobile device and download the PSF app today. Find the Bears chat room, and you can. It's like a kind of a Bears Twitter. Just get in there, find it, use it, tweet stuff, put stuff in there, and watch all the live game casts that Lester Wiltfong Jr. and I do together during the season. Games that we pick are to be announced. And PJ?
And if you're gonna bet, please bet responsibly. There, if you need help with betting, there's outlets out there that can help you with that problem. So please bet responsibly.
Please do. Don't blame us for your losses. Guys, without further ado, let's bring on our guest for tonight. I'm so excited to talk to Kenneth Davis because Kenneth Davis is not on the screen yet. There we go. Kenneth Davis he's one of the shows I always watch, and I have done many road trips from Atlanta back to Chicago to see my family, go to Bears games, and Kenneth, he's always one of the shows that I listen to, the Under Center podcast, and I just love Kenneth. I love your enthusiasm and your fandom and just how you go about everything. I can tell that you're real, and it makes me just very interested in listening to what you have to say. Kenneth, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm gonna shut up, and we're gonna let you speak for a second. I appreciate you coming on tonight. We appreciate it so much, man.
Listen, thank you all, you gentlemen, for bringing me on. Everybody in the chat, what's up? Listen, great time talking Bears. It's a great time to be a Bears fan. We've been through a lot of shit, so it's finally we deserve to go through some ups. Perhaps it may be some stumbling blocks, but we deserve this, and I appreciate you, Shorty, having me coming on. You have asking me some weeks ago on Sean's show, and you always are in the chat and, bringing great vibes. So it's no problem with me joining you gentlemen on here tonight.
Man, you saying that, I'll let you guys go, but I just want to add to that. Like, you saying that just really warms my heart because you pronounced my name correctly in Sean Sierra's chat, Sports Zone Chicago. Check them out. I watch them every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but now they're going just Wednesdays. Those guys are awesome. I love Sean Sierra. I always love when you come on a show, and the fact that you said my name correctly, Mr. Shorty, and then I'm like, man, I would love to have Kenneth on the show, and you responded right there, and you made it happen. So that doesn't normally happen. You know what I mean? So that was very organic, and that's what makes me really appreciate you being here tonight, because like, you made this happen, not me. You could have just ignored that. So that's what shows your personality. So thank you.
Oh, dude, you're supposed to pay it forward. I won't say growing up in this industry, because when I got into it, I was a grown-ass man. But just being in it for maybe 13, 15 years now, and just I remember how many people gave me their time. So you're never supposed to not give someone your time. Like, if you can make it happen and it's a responsible platform, why wouldn't I show up to someone? I mean, you got to understand, in all fairness, what is a blessing it is that someone wants you to come on that platform. Like, you don't take that lighthearted, you know what I'm saying? I always appreciate that people spend time. You just said, yo, I drive and I listen. You don't have to do that. So if it's me personally, you should appreciate that someone takes the time out of their day to listen to you. So I always appreciate that. And if I have time, I'm always going to try to give that time to somebody, because people gave that time to me.
Awesome.
Appreciate that.
He's better now, because he used to watch while he was driving. We got him off that one.
Yeah.
Right.
Whoa.
Yeah. And ran my truck into a low parking garage, and that was it. I can't watch him anymore. I can listen.
Well, the thing that you didn't know, Shorty, me and Kenneth, we're cousins. Go ahead and tell him, Kenneth. Good.
Your last name's Davis, Jay?
No, but we're cousins.
Because we're black. For sure.
Yeah, we're cousins.
Definitely. I seen him last week. What up, cousin?
Hey, what's happening? You good, fam? You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
They're all related. So
as everyone knows, PJ is our resident. He's our retired police officer, and he loves to interrogate our new guests in a good way. Just to find out their Bears fan, because it's clear that you have grown up a Bears fan, right, Kenneth? You're not just covering the beat as a Bears reporter. You're a fucking Bears fan. So this kind of leads us into our next segment, where PJ is going to take a moment to look. He's already warming up his beard. He's getting it ready.
I'm ready to get the phone book. We use that phone book on certain occasions there.
No phone books. No phone books.
You're familiar with the phone book.
There will be no abuse towards me on this one. All right. No, sir.
You familiar with the phone book?
I'm Chicago through and through.
Okay. All right, but do us a favor, Ken. Tell us what actually got you involved in being a Bears fan. When did you become a Bears fan?
The Bears were probably the first sports team in Chicago that I probably fell in love with. So I'm old enough to where I was, like 4 or 5 when they won the Super Bowl, something around that age. My older brother, I remember him drawing this image of some Patriots in the old Patriots in the red coats. They were scrambling. And this bear was my older brother could really draw. He can't really draw. Was coming over the stadium. My dad is the primary reason that I'm a sports fan. He was an encyclopedia of sports, and I'm only here because he was that encyclopedia. So he gave me the history. My dad had me when he was 35, so he gave me all those years. Before. So that means my dad was probably born like the late 40s or early 50s or something like that. So he would be honest with me and tell me, like, for instance, like Michael Jordan, I'd be like, how good is he compared to the older players? And he'd be like, he's better. He wasn't one of those people that will hold on to the past, even though he would rep the past, but he would tell me the truth. Right. So he would tell me a lot about Walter Payton and what makes sweetness, versatility, how he's cold because he could punt, pass, and kick outside of just running. the football. And, we don't think about how special that was back in the 70s and the early 80s or whatever. And in my house growing up, I grew up with my primarily when my parents separated when I was about 5. So I grew up like all over Chicago, depending on where my mother moved. But I always had a house out east. And that house that had my grandmother, my dad, and my great aunt, my grand aunt. And they all enjoyed sports. So in any room I would go into, sports would be on. So I could go and watch the Bears game. Primarily, a lot of times I could just switch rooms and watch the Bears game. So that's how I became a Bears fan, because I just grew up in a house where sports was played and they enjoyed sports and we talked sports. So it just became a part of my life.
So who is your favorite player coming up?
On the Bears or just in general?
On the Bears.
Coming up on the Bears, I would definitely say.
Do you mean like coming up as a youngster or now? Coming up.
I got to give you 3 if I'm just to be fair. I would say definitely Sweetness, Walter Payton. I would say probably Samurai Mike Singletary, and I think at that age it's easy to fall in love with the Refrigerator Perry because he had a G.I. Joe action figure. But so I think that marketing kind of made you fall in love with the Fridge. So I'm not putting Fridge in this 3. That's just an honorable mention, the Fridge or whatever. Right. But I would say, and Richard Dent, those 3 primarily were probably when I was a kid, my favorite Bears players.
And who was your first Bears jersey you got?
I didn't have a Bears jersey growing up, to be honest with you. Okay, it's a story to that I can't go into it deep. I did actually buy within the last year and a half a jersey, but I had to return it because I found out some history of that player, cuz that didn't necessarily sit right. So I wasn't gonna wear the jersey, but I was gonna wear it on the show. I was like, this is gonna be hard. Like, when people see it, but I found some stuff out, and that's the thing about being on this side that you find things out. And then I actually did some history that listened to some interviews of that player. And I'm like, yeah, this information sounds like he wasn't rocking that tight with the community. So I was like, I sent the jersey. But actually thinking about it, I still have a credit with that where I bought that jersey. I need to go get that jersey. I totally forgot. I got $100 credit sitting out there. I need to make sure I get a jersey before they try to steal my money. But I didn't have a jersey for it.
So are you going to get a Caleb Williams jersey?
You say, am I going to get it? No, because I'm not supposed to. I would get it for my son if he wants to, but being on the media side is really, frowned upon for the most. If I got a jersey, it would be somebody throwback. Like I was actually, speaking of that credit, I was looking for a Richard Dent jersey, but I didn't find one that spoke to me, so I didn't want to just spend it to spend it. So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to tell you a quick story. I was going to buy a Bill Russell jersey. Right, Bill Russell had just passed. Everybody's dying right now. Just to let you know, they were getting to that point with Willie Mays, the GOAT.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But also, I found this vintage Bill Russell jersey that like an hour after they announced he passed. Right, and I had it, and I was like, this person doesn't know he passed, and they were going to send it. And right before that, the person snatched it back and rescinded it. I'm sure he got way more, but it was sweet. It was this vintage, and I love like Bill Russell, Muhammad Ali, Cap, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Jim Brown. Like I'm not a big I don't get starstruck, but like those guys that were stars but also like fought for our rights, it speaks to me because they didn't have millions of dollars. And I'm not one, I don't pocket watch, so I'm not trying to knock anybody. I'm just saying that knowing the amount of money that they were making and knowing that they can get blackballed from what they were doing and still stepping out and risking what they did for their people speaks more to me than just, I'm an athlete and I do this. And it's not a knock on anybody just being an athlete. I'm just telling you, for me, what my biases lean towards. So I don't have, to make a long story short, I never bought a Bears jersey until a couple of years ago or a year.
Yeah, I don't just go out and buy jerseys because we drafted Caleb Williams. I'll let that marinate for a while because A, it's hard to get one right now because everyone's buying them and you're on a waiting list. And B, it's like, well, let's just let that marinate for a bit. And then, in 5 years, maybe I can decide to buy that jersey. But even then, like the last jersey I bought was Hester and Walter Payton actually, and Charles Tillman.
Ooh.
Because they're staples of the Bears, right? So let it marinate. As far as don't waste all. They're so expensive, right?
Right. Now,
Yes.
I want you to expound upon what you mean by being in the media that you can't get a jersey.
It's not that you can't. It's just it's frowned upon with the team that quote unquote you report on that necessarily do that. And again, I don't care to a degree. Know that. Like I said, I was going to rock it,
Right.
so I don't. But it also has to speak to me where it resonates with me. And right now, like, there's no Bears players. Even I'll say this: interviewing Rome Odunze, man, if he hits, he's gonna own Chicago. I swear. Like that kid, his mind is something. I think the same about Caleb. I haven't had the chance to talk to Caleb yet. But man, Rome, his mental makeup is nice. So I could see one day maybe perhaps owning his jersey. But I had to, first of all, I had to see what they do. And I mean, I'm
Right.
all in on Caleb, but I have to see what takes place. I saw somebody in here say what they're gonna do with a Justin jersey. And I mean, I don't want to be in that situation. And I mean, I understand why you bought it, because none of us thought we were going to be in a situation when it comes to Justin.
Right.
But yeah, I don't want to have, like, it's nothing worse than being someplace and seeing the jersey of somebody that never did what you thought they was going to do for the team. And you're just like, damn, you spent that money. You just got to wear it because you want to put the colors on, huh? And
Right.
It's just like,
It's like all the people that own a number 13 Caleb Williams jersey right now, you know?
Slow down, shorty. Slow down. We're gonna let that. We're gonna. I'm with. I wouldn't have done it, but I'll say this though: if you're gonna be a betting man with how lopsided they've laid this team out for him as far as the talent on his side of the ball, chances are he's probably going to be pretty decent. Somewhat earlier than later. But yeah, again, I'm not.
But everyone was buying the number 13. Thinking
I think he's going to keep the 13 instead of Keenan Allen.
If you went on NFL.com 2 weeks before the draft, you could not buy a number 18 with Williams on the back. You could put an extra L into it and make it 3 L's, a Williams with 3 L's. And I did it as an experiment. You could buy it, but you couldn't buy an 18. That was what actually sold me on them, because I didn't think they were actually going to draft him. I thought they were going to still trade the pick, but that was the sure sign that you could not buy a number 18. All these people bought number 13s. They were wearing them at the draft. We had a buddy who was at the draft, a Lions fan, actually, podcaster. Shout out to New Breed 313.
Sure.
He was at the draft, and all these people were wearing number 13 Caleb Williams jerseys. It's like, you wasted all that money on that for nothing.
Right. And you didn't know what number he was going to. Yeah, I wouldn't have done that. Again, I wouldn't have put the cart in front of the horse in that type of situation before I knew exactly what his number was going to be.
Right.
So it wouldn't have happened. But again, listen, that's their money to waste. If you look, and also it's easy with some tape and the 13 to sit there and do those.
Yeah, go buy another number 3 and just what they should do is resell nameplates so you could just sew them on yourself. You know, just take the Fields off number 1 and put on Johnson. You know.
Or dad.
Yeah, or dad, yeah.
Number 1 dad.
I got it.
I have one question during our interrogation session for you. I think I totally lost it by trying to ask the question. No, what is it like for you to have grown up a Bears fan? And I know that you're past the whole starstruck thing, because my wife works in the film industry, and the first actor I met was like a bumbling idiot, and now I'm just like, I don't even want to meet him. Like, I don't care. So like, and I don't ask for autographs if I see players, you know, whatever. So what is it like for you, aside all of that, like now that you're into it, growing up a Bears fan, and now you are like covering them for a living and you're talking to them like at the podium? That's I have to know, like, just how that feels, because I wish that was me.
It's a part of life, you know. I mean, it's really not. It's funny this. I think about. I wish my dad knew, not for me. I wish he knew what he did. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's really the thing. I think, and recently I've been thinking about it more. My dad passed when I was 23. So I think about. We had a great relationship, so it's good. So that made it great. But yeah, I think about that. Like, dude, you know, like because I don't think he appreciated himself. So I think about, that's really what I think about. That's like, you never knew, and I don't view this as a hustle, but I was like, you never knew you gave me a hustle. You know what I'm saying? And I think any parent would like to provide their kids with something that could benefit them. So that's really the thing. As far as it's cool because it's something that I've loved. I love Chicago sports in general, even though Chicago sports hasn't necessarily loved us all back. So that's always part of it, where it's kind of like, this is a lopsided relationship, and I'm not big on lopsided relationships. I like to be respected. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's one of those things. So it's pleasant because it's a lot of people don't get the chance to do some of the things that I get to do. So I'm blessed and I'm fortunate. I think that's the thing that I try to remember because I'm the type of person where I have to remind myself not to just walk through life, because I'll just walk through life.
Smell the roses.
Yeah, exactly. That point. I don't necessarily smell the roses enough, because it's like, what can I do better? What do I have to do? That's kind of where my mind is always at. Thanks, Jason. That's where my mind is always at for the most part. So it's just, and also I live where I can't have really peaks and valleys. I have to kind of keep it straight for me to function at the highest level that I can function at.
Mm-hmm. Well said. I mean, once you're in that world, it's totally different. It's a job now. It's something has been lost in that as a fan like that, and so you have to approach it entirely differently. And I was a big bright-eyed, bushy-tailed moron when I first started doing the show. It's embarrassing if you watch the first one, but you put all that aside and you start to look at you look at everything differently, and you approach it in an entirely different manner, and I can appreciate that. So thank you very much for sharing all that with us, Kenneth.
No doubt.
Are you done with interrogating him now?
Well, now that my partner interrupted my flow, I want to sit there and see if I can go back to where I was going with leading questions.
Shit. We have more interrogation. Okay.
Yeah. As far as broadcasting, what got you into the broadcasting part of it?
I worked at this company, and I had so I used to be on this. I used to be a part of this show called D and Davis. So some people may have heard us. We used to sit in for Les Grobstein on 670 The Score and other score shows during the holidays, and sometimes when people are off. But Les's show, that 5 hours overnight, was what we did a lot of, right? And his fans were great. Most score fans were really great. I'll say that. And I grew out. Speaking of my dad too. So my dad started listening to sports radio when I was like in 8th grade, and it was WMBP, but it was like the Fabulous Sports Babe back then. And you had 670, you had the Score on whatever channel the Score was back then, because the Scores like changed their call numbers like 3 or 4 times or whatever, right? So that alone was my passion, or it was something I enjoyed. So when I used to get suspended from school, I would just be in my room reading comic books and listening to sports radio primarily or whatever, right? So, or the holidays or whatever. So I worked with DeMoss from D and Davis. Me and D worked at the same place, and D and I would get into these heated debates on breaks where people have to come into the break room and tell us like, "Yo, slow down. We work for this PR software company." And one day D was like, D went to some like media school that closed while he was going, and he was like, "Yeah, the Illinois Center for Broadcasting is right 4 blocks away from where we worked at. We used to work on Michigan and Van Buren." So he's like, "Yeah, I think I'm gonna go there or whatever." And I was like, "Yeah, it's something I thought about doing." And he was kind of like, "Well, so you should probably come." And I don't know if I thought I would have done it later, but I don't know if I ever would have done it if it wasn't for D then. You know what I'm saying? So all of this, if you see me, all my friends or our group that was a part of that show are here with me, because I'm not here without them. A lot of people make sacrifices to help me get to where I'm at right now. So me and D went to the school, and after when we got to, back then you just have to go for a year. It changed because it was like 8 months, and then when we got there it was a year, then it went back to, and then it was hybrid. It's a lot of different stuff, whatever. But we ended up getting the show at the school, and that's where we started this, where we got a show on Sundays and it was Saturdays. And we started, and we, just like you said, Shorty, we were trash. You don't know it, when you're early in, that you're trash. And that's why I tell a lot of people, like, "Man, what do it?" It's like reps. You need reps. A lot of people don't like to hear that. It's like, yeah, grab a guest. It's like, get reps. Sometimes it's better to be just you and your crew going over it, so you get reps and reps and reps. So we got reps, and then Dee's cousin Kyle joined us. And we had this Sidney Brown, who had worked at I forgot where Sidney Brown had worked in the industry, but he became one of our producers. And then Tony Gill went to the school for a week and came down there on a Saturday and decided he wanted to be a part of our show. And that's why still to this day at NBC, you see me and Tony Gill together at 670 The Score, Tony Gill. So I'm like you know how Bill Parcells always had to have like Pepper Johnson with him wherever he went for like all the years. Yeah. That's Tony. I'm like, that's Tony and me basically, or whatever, where, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got to bring my people, you know what I'm saying? Thibodeau, you know what I'm saying? But so that's
Lovey Smith and Bill Babich.
Yes, the exact same. So that's kind of what got me here. I didn't do it on my own. I had a crew. Shout out to people that can do it on their own, but I didn't do any of this on my own. I did it with the help of a bunch of people, and that's just naming. I didn't even name everyone that has helped me out, but I did it with a lot of people helping me out.
That is so awesome, man.
Cool.
I'm sorry that I interrupted your interrogation, because that was a great response, man. This is what we love to get to know our guests, because these are fun questions for you. You're not the one asking the questions. You're the one that's kind of like, you kind of take a moment out of talking about the Bears and get to know us along with you as well, and we appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that information.
Doug Van Dorn, I used to hate that. He put when the score used to turn off during the daytime, and I used to hate back in the days when they would go overnight, then they wouldn't, and being like, that used to bug me so much. And I can remember, I don't know if any of you are big score people, but like at 6 o'clock, like Tony or Tommy Williams used to come on and be like, I love it when they call me Big Pardon. Like this, being a kid growing up, these things were so huge to me. Yes. And that's, it's just this is, if you're a Chicago sports fan, this is what growing up in Chicago when sports radio was exploding here. And it played a big part. Like, I love the Monsters of the Midday. I would listen to the Heavy Fuel Crew after them. And those are the things that kind of led me in this direction.
All right. One of my last questions here is
wait, one of them or your last?
One of my last.
Oh, jeez.
It's going to be a 27.
I'm sorry, Kenneth.
But do you eat the dish fish and spaghetti?
No. I have, and I know with us, that's a big thing. But to be honest, like, for instance, okay, so gotta understand. I consider myself partially, like, my father's family grew up in Alabama. And like I said, my dad was 35, and I grew up with my grandmother and my granddad. So I grew up with some older people, and that influenced me a lot. So I learned how to eat properly, to a degree. You know what I'm saying? So not to knock, but because it's funny, because we have, like, just me and my wonderful women, we had these discussions, because in all fairness, my younger brother passed from cancer. I have an older brother that's fighting cancer. I have a cousin that's fighting cancer. Right. And I'm not saying, so a lot of this is where I grew up with more of a balanced diet. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it's not anyone's fault, but I remember, like, so also when my parents separated, I grew up in the projects too. You know what I'm saying? So it's learned information, to be honest with you. And this is a discussion for a whole nother day. You know what I'm saying? But for me, I don't need a starch to go with the fish, but it's commonplace. That is very common in our for that to take place. But I don't. For me, so you're being honest. No, I don't even remember. It has to be like some type of, I would say maybe a family reunion or something. But no, that's usually not. If we have spaghetti in my house, that's the entree. You know what I'm saying? Right. And I have some salad on the side. So no, and that's, again, it's not.
But you're familiar with it.
It's not familiar. I know it.
See, so
spaghetti.
Right. Why the question comes up is because Shorty had no idea when I first said it what it was.
That's
listen,
a staple. That's a staple in the.
I grew up. My father's side was Italian. My grandmother would have us over for pork roast with mashed potatoes and gravy, and she would serve a lasagna first. Ooh. I mean, it was that Italian. Like, Thanksgiving had a fucking lasagna before the turkey. Yeah. So for me, I was always taught, like, not to put red sauce with fish. That's just the whole. That's the only reason why why I poo-pooed on it was because it was the 6th round of not last year's draft, but the year before. And it was the 6th round. It was a dead zone. We had no picks. And he was just like, what are you guys having for dinner tonight? And I was like, leftover pizza from last night. And he was like, I'm thinking about having fish and spaghetti.
I'm actually thinking about doing fish and spaghetti.
Yeah, exactly, right there. And I was like, wait, what? Like spaghetti and spaghetti sauce?
Spaghetti, motherfucker, spaghetti.
And that was the response to that. And it's for me, it was just red sauce with fish. That was it. But PJ did make a delicious meal and sent me the picture of it. And I tell you what, I would have eaten
That's a staple. All right. I don't know if it's a staple. I still got cousins that do it. That's a staple. It's not a PJ thing. That is a staple. Just period. Cut.
I think it's more of like a Midwest, kind of like a Illinois, black people. Because I know certain places down south, they don't even do it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have a place down here. I literally went to the menu that day and it was like, there's no fish and spaghetti on this menu.
But like in Illinois, I know like a lot of black culture who does it. I mean, that's like you said, a staple. I've seen like when churches are selling dinners, fish and spaghetti dinner. So that's a thing. So he was also familiar with it.
I grew up. So for instance, like in the PJs, my uncle. I don't want to keep saying about people passed. My uncle passed last year. He used to fish big time. So we would have fish to fry. So it would be one of those things where it'd be like, okay, fish and spaghetti, because this fish was plentiful, basically. You know what I'm saying? So but again, in the community here, and I'm happy you said that it's an Illinois thing, because I don't know. I've never asked really, because in my household, we just ate spaghetti as the main entree. You know what I'm saying? Like my main house, when I wasn't at my main house, my mother's side, it was meat. It was more of a meat sauce, but on my mother's side, fish and spaghetti is definitely was a staple.
It's on straight on the menu.
Yes.
All right, Shorty. I want to conclude my interrogation there. I'm not going
that was a
hammer.
Is he going to prison or what?
No, I think
how about that last comment? Is that prison worthy?
Probation.
Okay, you're on probation for that, Kenneth. You should have. You look at it.
As long as I didn't get the phone book, as long as he didn't give me the whatever those. I forgot what old boy's name was that they let everybody out of jail because of all those. As long as you hit me one of those, the phone book. At least some whelp so I can sue. At least let me get my let me get my lawsuit on, PJ. Let me get my lawsuit on.
So when your uncle caught, like, what kind of fish did you eat? Just to end this interrogation, we'll talk bears in a second. Was it like bluegill and like crappie?
Definitely catfish one. Let me
catfish, yeah.
But it's funny. So Alex Shapiro, somebody had talked about Alex earlier. Alex went up to Manitoba, and he had caught what the hell did he catch? I forgot what he caught. Pike. My uncle. I remember, like, my uncle. I remember eating a lot of bony ass pike, but he would fry the hell out of it. So stuff like that, where it be
walleye and stuff like that. Walleye, pike.
Yes, yeah, definitely stuff like that.
The bigger lake fish like that. Yeah. My favorite fish is walleye. My second is crappie, and then I think my third would be bluegill. Then you start getting into. I never had pike though, but I bet you it's probably just as good as walleye, probably.
Buffalo.
And buffalo too.
There you go. Now I'm with you, cuz. We know.
By the way, we had Alex Shapiro on the show many moons ago, and I thought, like, just ask him if Kenneth Davis would join us, and I was like, no, don't do that. So I didn't do that, and I'm glad that we did it organically.
We could. I do it for people. Yes, I had Lawrence. I've had Lawrence's fish for somebody said that. I do. I've done it with Alex, and Alex has done it for me, so it wouldn't have been any problem. I mean, it's cool that you didn't, but it wouldn't have been a problem, man. I would have. Awesome. I would have popped out. Out.
We gotta get Alex back on, though. I just want you to know.
For sure, yeah. Well, now maybe. Well, you made him go get his notebook, and then he came back, and you never asked.
He pulled the notebook out.
Then he never asked him any questions about it.
I didn't get a chance to ask the question. Somebody started talking about something.
You see how the show is going already, right? So, all right, let's talk some Bears.
Couldn't stick to the script.
What script? Oh,
Exactly.
Script here.
Speaking of sticking to the script, we want to talk about the paneling behind Foster right now.
Yeah.
And whether or not, you have witnessed anybody. Yeah, see, there are bodies.
No bodies. That's why I got new paneling. Actually,
You
it's
in the basement
1968 paneling. The 75 was full, Peach, so I got new paneling, new old paneling.
So as Kenneth has mentioned off air, that's remind him of childhood, just like me. That's my childhood right there as well. So Foster was there when Moses parted the Red Sea. He was on the other side fishing. So I just want you to know Foster is our resident who knows everything about the Bears. He was there when George Hallow started the league.
Started the team, yeah.
He
knows everything about it.
Foster is there. So you have any trivia you want to know about the Bears, Foster's the guy. He's
Speaking of trivia, I have a game I want to play a little bit later called Fact or Trivia. It's from a calendar that I have. My wife bought me a Bears calendar where you tear off every day. And one day is fact, the next day is trivia. So I want later on in a little bit I want to get into that. But let's talk about the freaking Bears right now, okay? We have Kenneth Davis on here.
But Tony Moore, you said Foster carried the Ten Commandments stuff.
He did carry the Ten Commandments.
Foster seemed to stay by clip.
There's a list. They just started stuff, man, right away. Right off the bat, they started stuff.
Foster started helping up Noah. He started rounding up the animals for Noah. Yeah.
Well, didn't I tell you guys there was originally
he put the rope on the ark.
Moses came down. It was the 15th.
He planted the trees the paneling is made from. J2K. Y'all are wild.
Oh my goodness. All right, Foster. You have spoken.
I'm sorry. Stop. Okay, so
no, let's get into it. What is that?
He said Foster will also be starting his Master Roshi in the next live.
I am so glad you caught that, Kenneth. Thank you.
That's a good one. I just saw Master Roshi in my mind. That's a good one.
Master Roshi, and he also resembles Papa Smurf so perfectly, man.
Foster's the man.
Oh man, we do love you, Foster. You know, the sad part, Kenneth, is that his mother passed away, and this is his mother's house. Sorry. He's been trying to get for several years, get everything fixed and get it all ready to put it on the market. And he's going to be leaving that home soon because it's on the market. And that paneling, for almost 2 years now, the butt of our jokes is going to be gone. And now there's going to be like a white wall behind him. We're going to somehow have to make fun of him over. Everyone, get all your shit together. Let's figure this out. There's going to be a white wall there soon.
Sorry for your loss, Foster.
When I do the last, hopefully my final studio, I'm just going to put up paneling for you guys. I'll find some old stuff and put it up just for you guys. All I need is 4 or 5 sheets for the back of it, just to keep everything intact as it's done.
Just take those ones behind you. And well, the bodies will fall out though. Never mind.
Yeah. But Kenneth, if you need some roofing done, Foster will put up a tent in your yard and get it done in 3 months.
He will have your
PJ. I thought you were gonna say that Foster gives the best top.
No.
That would have been Shorty saying that, probably.
But seriously, Kenneth, 4 months at the most. He'll have your roof done.
Okay. I know some guys that can do it in a day, so I guess I got to pass on that.
That's our point.
I know.
All right, guys. Before we get into the Bears, I do have to. I am moderating this, I guess, so I should direct some conversation here before we get into the Bears with Kenneth, because it's time. It is time. Let's acknowledge our chat, who are so loyally here every week. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. And we got Scottish Bear that's hanging out with us at 5 hours from now. So 10:45, 11:45, 12. It's like 2:45 in the morning for Scottish Bear hanging out with us again loyally. Thank you so much. Cliff, Victoria, DVD.
Hold on.
Boy.
Got to acknowledge Jason here. Jason with the super chat.
Thank you.
Sharing the love. Appreciate you, Jason. Appreciate your support. Thank you for joining us once again.
Another $1.99 super chat from Jason. Thank you. Foster Paneling Fund.
Drop it in the bucket, boys.
Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor.
Oh, man. James Hunter, Doug Van Dorn, Thine Smy, The Nodge. The Nodge, is this your friend, Kenneth? The Nodge?
Where? I didn't see it.
In chat. We've never seen The Nodge before, but thank you for joining us.
Yes. And
not sure. But what up, the Nodge? Not sure.
James Hunter.
James Hunter, J2K.
Dorn.
Ked's the Canuck hanging out with us. Antmus.
Mr. Mayhem.
Bush Hog. All you guys. Thank you very much for hanging out with us tonight. This has been a fun show so far. Let's get into it now. Okay.
Gentlemen, I'm going to hop in real quick. I just want to kind of clear the logjam that we have regarding some of the comments here. So before we get into Bears, I thought it might be a good idea, especially Kenneth, if you'd like to talk maybe not so highly on the Lions. We have a certain Don Burr in chat.
I love Don Burr, so I can't.
Oh, you're familiar with his work. One of his many burner accounts. Beautiful.
Don Burr is one of those people that helps shows go.
You're not wrong.
Regardless if there's a rivalry. I see. First of all, with the Lions, I've always kind of liked Barry Sanders. Makes me like the Lions. All right.
Thank you.
That's going to lead me to my next question.
Eric Kramer's been on with us.
I remember Kramer, Rodney Peete, Andre Ware. Those were because it wasn't like a rivalry because it's. I say this about the NFC North. Usually, the Bears and the Lions at some point or both are stupid. Right.
Yep.
And the fact that the Lions actually had their stuff together and the Bears seem like they had their stuff together is crazy right now when you're talking about the NFC North. So, like, for instance, the Lions have never won a Super Bowl. They rarely make the playoffs. I love the fact that their fans love their team and how they love their team because it's similar to us, even though we've actually been to the Super Bowl and won Super Bowl.
We were all children, though.
Twist it.
But Don Burr, and also the thing is, too, I always love how Detroit people love to take advantage of our city and live in our city, but they still want to talk about Detroit. Now, I'll say this. I do like the city of Detroit. The time I've been there, I've enjoyed it because it reminds me of home, and I like living next to a big body of water. So Don Burr, when it comes to what show we're doing, we're football night in Chicago, but before that, I forgot what it was called when Cap used to do the show, and Tony and I used to be there, and I would host. Don Burr would be in the chat all the time, talking crazy and having fun. And Matt Nagy, fake Matt Nagy account. So all those people take time and make our shows go. Like, you gotta love them. So it's like, yeah, I can talk crazy, but man, you gotta have some love for Don Burr. Just to be honest with you.
I have nothing but love for Don Burr because he is just as passionate about his team as we are about ours. I find it a little bit odd that he's able to be in every single fucking Bears podcast of all time, and
literally every one of them.
Like he's so committed to it that I have nothing but mad respect for that. How can you not? But I would love to have him on the show. I keep trying to get him on, but he just won't do it. He won't do it.
Well,
he has to remain mysterious Don Burr. Just
to my point,
Bears fans.
To my point of last week and the prior weeks, we've never seen Cliff Victoria and Don Burr in the same room together at the same time. So,
yeah.
Anyway, Kenneth, let me try and continue to clear the logjam here. Antmus was wondering, are you down with the BCP?
For sure, I'm here.
You got to say, yeah, you know me.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
You know the song, bro.
You down with BCP?
No, listen, I'm not doing OPP. Okay.
What about PCP?
Yeah, there you go.
No, I'm definitely not doing hard drugs.
There you go, sir.
Sorry.
Thank you. Doug had asked earlier as well, and also Mr. The Nodge here. They were both curious with the recent news with Connor Williams, if you think that he's any sort of type of player that the Bears would be pursuing at center.
No. I think we've seen the Kenny Williams in Ryan Poles when it comes to Bates. You remember how Kenny Williams had to have Ken Griffey Jr. when Ken Griffey Jr.'s stomach was as big as his backside. I think that when you look at Shelton and Bates, that those are going to be right now the answer when it comes to center and guard as far as rotational right now. I don't want to say I'm interested to see what happens. We know that Shelton has played more than Bates as far as starting. But I think that Ryan Poles got his guy, and we'll see what he does at center. I'm interested because I think that's a really important position that Ryan Poles has never answered as general manager.
Definitely. To circle back, I know that you had mentioned earlier when you kind of did your introduction regarding your affinity with Walter Payton. I was just curious if you thought there are any running backs in NFL history that are better than Walter Payton. I'm assuming there are after you made your comments with wow, my brain's going to start.
No. All right, so no, I don't because I'm biased. But I will say there are some that are close to or on the level. My dad raised me talking about the Kansas Comet, and that's Gale Sayers, and raised me on if Gale Sayers knees never went bad and how they didn't have the surgeries back then, and even when he came back after his first significant injury, what Gale Sayers could do. I don't think because we have the proper footage to get the speed and agility that Gale Sayers have that we really take into consideration how cold the Kansas Comet was. Again, you mentioned Barry Sanders.
Thank you.
But even with Barry, you have to look at how many yards behind scrimmage he gave up because, he wasn't the biggest guy. Also, the Detroit Lions line was garbage. But also, if we're being honest, too, it's hard to block for someone when you don't know what hole they may go through. You know what I'm saying? But now some people say, well, the hole was closed, so Barry had to bounce out and do whatever he was going to do. But it's not the same. It's an apple and oranges comparison, but it's like a mobile quarterback where but at least with a running back, it's a run play compared to a mobile quarterback. I will say another guy that sticks out. He's not on this level, but honorable mention. Adrian Peterson was a beast. He couldn't catch the ball, so that kind of takes him out of this discussion as far as all around versatility, because a lot of the guys I'm talking about now, I'm talking about Sayers, I'm talking about Peyton, I'm talking about Barry Sanders, they could play today because they could catch. A lot of guys aren't pass catching running backs, and that's why you look at what Christian McCaffrey received, what Saquon Barkley received. They got those dollars because they can catch. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So there's levels to it, but man, when you do not, I think we don't put enough respect on the fact that Adrian Peterson basically compromised Derrick Rose return and RG3 returns because he came back from a blown knee a week before the season ended, but the next year he was ready to go and won an MVP, and people thought. Go ahead. What were you about to say?
He was the corner on the injury, man. You used to think that an ACL injury took you out. Now that's only the Achilles injury. The ACL, you're back next year, and Adrian Peterson has set that standard.
Right, but we thought everybody could do that because he's a mutant, and it's like that is true. Even take it. You're right. People can come back, but the time frame is what we thought had changed. We thought now we're back to you're usually back to yourself the year after, even though you may be good. We were like, man, it doesn't even matter. Look what AP did. And it's like, no. That's him, right? That's the difference between what he could do. And we started applying that because we was like, remember, Adidas had the Derrick Rose comeback thing that they RG3 had the same thing going on. And those guys were never the same from coming back from those injuries. Yeah, great point. And look at how much stuff Tariq has went through in general.
Then the Achilles after that is like, oh, you
right. That's the thing, man. That's terrible. The thing. Yeah.
So,
Kenneth, sorry. Go ahead, PJ.
Emmitt Smith is one of your favorites.
He was straight.
Dude, I was a guest on someone's podcast doing all 50 the top 15 running backs, and I had my list. I was improvising the whole time. I had all the way down to I had Emmitt Smith as third, And then I realized I hadn't put Gale Sayers on there, and I was like, oh my God, well, I guess I'm leaving Emmitt Smith off the list. Emmitt Smith left my top 15 of all time because I had to put Gale Sayers in there.
Emmitt was nice. I don't think we put enough respect on his agility and how tough he was. But man, that Dallas offensive line was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Give Barry Sanders that. He would have retired. I mean, he could have retired when he retired. He would have had the record. Like, I mean, again, it's not a knock because we don't put enough respect on Emmitt. Like, Emmitt was nice. Don't get it twisted. And then the durability. But I mean, at that time, it's like you got to choose. And I was a Barry guy, so it was what it was.
Props to you, Kenneth. Go Foster.
All right. He, like you said, Kenneth, you had that great line, but they both did interviews, and you know who they both chose? Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders took Walter Payton.
Yeah,
put their choice live. So, and Gale Sayers, you were talking about it. My father fortunately had a box at Wrigley for the entire decade and got to see him and Butkus play almost every game of their career. And he said, and this is after seeing Peyton and everything, he goes, if the 49ers wouldn't have taken his knees out or they had the surgeries that they have today, that by far he would have been the guy with all the records, man, just because of the special abilities. But he did say, and this is my guy because I grew up with Walter Payton. I was 11 when we drafted him, and I got to see every play that I saw every game he played, and I think I missed 2 because back then, if they didn't sell out Soldier Field, they would black out the games.
Yeah.
So, I'm fortunate in that aspect because I got to see all these guys, just like Peach did. But I went like Peyton, Sayers, Sanders, Jim Brown. I lumped all these guys in a certain area. Another guy that nobody talks about was on the Bears too. Willie Gallimore. My dad saw his entire career too. He goes, that's another guy that in a different era, he was capable of having the record, man. There were so many guys. So,
yeah.
But it's Peyton because he could do it all. Not only that, he made himself a great receiver in an era where he made himself a great receiver in a not big era, wide receiver era. So
he kicked a field goal too. I mean, he punted, kicked the field goals.
Wait, at Jackson State, he was their starting punter, their starting kicker, their starting wide receiver. Their starting running back. He was a backup at a wide receiver position, I believe safety or cornerback, and he was also their backup quarterback at Jackson State. Go look it up from 71 to 74. It's there.
I love it.
Well, Kenneth,
stuff my dad would say, Foster.
See, I told you, Foster, he was there.
When God said, let there be light, Foster was like, I'm sorry, Foster.
Oh no! Please don't be sorry.
Well, Kenneth, I just wanted to commend you on your comment regarding Adrian Peterson because I don't think a lot of guys are willing to bring up his name just because he was one of the more recent guys, of course. But I grew up watching the Bears. I remember my first season watching them was 2005, and then obviously the year after they went to the Super Bowl. So I think the world of Lance Briggs and Brian Urlacher, and to see Peterson come in at Soldier Field and run for 200, 300 yards as a rookie, put those grown men to shame. It's not embarrassing, but it's crazy, man. He was ahead of his time.
When you say that, when you saw when he got to the second level, and the thing about Adrian Peterson, he had a hitch in his giddy up. He wasn't straight, like he had a hitch. When he got to the second level and you saw him taken away from those linebackers that you just mentioned, you were like, what the hell? I remember, and I'm always a skeptic when people hype someone up, right? I love Joakim Noah. I remember when the first time I went to go watch Florida basketball, I'm like, let me go see if this kid is really. And I was like, I like him. I want the Bulls to draft him, right? And that was the year they drafted Tyrese Thompson, the year after they got Joakim Noah. But I'm bringing this up to, I remember going to watch Oklahoma because I'm like, let me see what about this Peterson kid, right? Talking about since he could play in the pros. Damn, that boy could play in the pros right now, right? It was like, I remember Maurice Claret and Michael Williams at USC was trying. They had no business in the pros, but Adrian Peterson as a freshman was big enough. But to the point where you said when he played the Bears, I remember me and my best friend at the time watching it and was like, what the are we watching? Like his speed and what he could do was crazy. And with that power, physically, he's one of the most gifted running backs to ever play running back.
I remember being so pissed when the Vikings drafted him.
Oh, you had to be. Because you knew what was coming. You knew what was coming.
Yeah. And we saw it.
Let's transition from the running back conversation here, and I don't want to compare this player to another running back, but I was curious. Tony Moy here in the chat asks, did you get a chance to see the new Madden release trailer today and what they had Fields doing?
Yeah, I saw the punt return.
They were talking about that on Bears Weekly, man. It's crazy how much reach that got. It really ruffled some feathers, man. I know PJ is not feeling too happy about that.
You're going to ruin the show for PJ already?
Hold on, man. Hold on. Let's be clear. Me and Kenneth feel the same way. If you guys paying attention to his body language, he's feeling just like I'm feeling. So, hey, back up off Fields. We just wish him the best in Pittsburgh. Man, we wish him the best. Man, he had a good ride here. Could have been better. Could have had better supporting cast. He didn't. Let's move on.
That's what the last few weeks, last month of me being on the show is trying to get PJ to turn the page. And I think Bears fans could learn a little bit from that as well, you know. He's not our quarterback anymore. We rooted for him while he was here. I don't see why we wouldn't root for him while he's not on the Bears. Unless we're playing against stuff, of course.
What did he do to make you stop rooting for him? I mean, for someone who represented your team properly, that's all you can ask for. He went out there and got killed for us. You can never say he didn't put his body on the line. You can never say he didn't properly represent the team. He disrespected the position that he held. Did he get it done? No. Was it all on him? Hell no. Like, you'll be a lie to put, hey, he did not have the weapons around him that this player now is going to have around him, period. The offensive line was suspect. Could he get it done in the fourth quarter? No, he could not. So there were problems abound, but I'm always going to love me some Justin. I'm always going to love Justin Fields. Now, the kick return thing is this. If Justin can't be a successful quarterback, I want him to succeed in the NFL any way possible. But I know, one, he never played that position or took the hit, even though here in Chicago, he took more hits than he did at Ohio State. Or
never got the calls. Never.
Yeah, never got the call. Never got the calls. So that's a worry because now you're talking about a player that's not used to running with the ball and taking straight hits like a returner or a running back. And it's how you can get dislocated shoulders because he's not someone that's prepped to know really, okay, this is where I'm going to get into a ball. Okay, here comes the contact like that. Even though we saw Justin commit contact and knock fools back, but I'm just saying that hasn't been consistently his game. So for me, I understand if Justin wants to get on the field and wants to help his team, but I want him to get QB bread. All right, like I'm always going to root. Justin didn't do anything to make me not root for him whatsoever, and I'm not going to stop rooting for Justin Fields because they drafted Caleb, and I think they should have drafted Caleb. But why would I hate someone that, okay, the Bears lucked up and may have found someone who's better than him, so they moved on for him, but I'm going to hate him because I have to like him? I'm a grown-ass man. I don't have to do that.
Absolutely, Kenneth. There's no call for that. There's no need or no necessity to do that. It's like real quick, because I wanted to say this, but we jumped topics. We were talking about Adrian Peterson. I was going to say that Adrian Peterson I loved as a person and a player was the Adrian Peterson that was on the Bears that played special teams for
great shout.
And when we didn't have a running back, he was in there playing as good as any starting running back at the league for the brief time that he was in there. That's the kind of hard character that that's what it should just all be. I love what you said at the beginning, man. It's all about we're here to have some fun, and this is all just sports. It's not the important thing, man. There's more things important than what we're doing. This is just a hell of a lot of fun hanging out with you guys.
If I wanted to report, and I'm not saying this in a negative sense, like for instance, in media, sports is known as a toy box. As far as like if I worked at the news, let's just say I was at NBC, and that's what the nickname would be. But me personally, being someone to think about getting into media, I never wanted to think about I'm reporting on murder and how that would play for me as Kenneth, where I have to go report on something tragic, then go home. That's a lot. Just growing up in the city, you go through a lot of stuff in general. So to your point, Foster, no, I don't. This is too simple. We make this stuff a lot more serious than what it is. We can disagree and move on. It's not as serious as what we make it, man. Sports is supposed to be fun. Unfortunately, it's hard sometimes because we lose, but it's never supposed to be as divisive as we make it. And as divisive as the Bears shit has been. It's
crazy.
It's been crazy.
Sports is supposed to bring us all together.
Right. That part.
That's what it does. It brings us all together as fans. And the more that you do this kind of thing, you realize that, it's okay to to become friends with a fan from a different team. It's okay to hear their perspective in a respective manner, you know?
Yeah.
So sports brings us together, man, for sure.
I just want to say that my cousin represented that statement very well on the position we have on Mr. Fields. So thank you, cuz.
You're welcome, cuzzo.
Amen to that. Ken, another question in chat here. Cliff was wondering, who do you think the first wide receiver on the Bears is going to hit 1,000 yards this season?
That's a good question. I want to say DJ, to be honest, but I don't know if it's hard for me to say consistently what Keenan may do underneath. You know, like there's a lot of yard when you're talking about, all right, just hypothetically, that the safety's gonna have to play back, right? You got Rome that can go deep, you got DJ that can go deep, you got Swift, you're gonna have Cole Kmet and Gerald Everett. Now, of course, they're not all gonna be out there at the same time, depending on what scheme you come out of. If you're in 12 or 13, as far as what Shane Waldron has liked when he was with the Seattle Seahawks. But I feel that someone like Keenan Allen consistently could get a lot of consistent yards, where the guys on the outside, referring to DJ and to Rome, it could go up, it could fluctuate necessarily, because teams are going to make sure their back is covered with the threats that they may have. So I would say if you zero me down, I'll say DJ, but I think it could definitely be Rome. Or I'll put it like this: I think DJ could be the first, but I think Keenan, and I meant to say Keenan when I just said Rome. I think Keenan could have the most. Let me put it like that. I think
at the end of the race,
he could maybe have, because every game he may be able to get 80 yards just because he could get 7 catches, to where teams may switch coverage over to take DJ out, and it may just allow Keenan to do a lot of stuff with how well he can run his routes.
Yeah, I just mentioned Bears Weekly. Adam Rank was on there today, and he had mentioned a good point about just how good of a route runner that Keenan Allen is. And he's going to be the guy, especially maybe early, where the Bears are going to be in a 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, a little bit 3rd and long, and you have to pass. His route running, he's going to find himself open, and he might be the guy, again, just to what you said, his consistency might end up pushing him the furthest. Another comment here in chat. Scottish Bear is curious if you think that Velus Jones Jr. is going to find his way onto the roster.
I think so. I think Velus is going to get one more chance. The fact that he plays special teams is going to benefit him.
Playing right in my hand.
So I think that's what's going to, and I don't mean just as a return guy, but I just mean as far as just being a defender and a gunner. I think playing special teams may keep him around compared to some guys that don't play special teams. But I'll be honest with you, this could be the year where being a guy where Ryan Poles, he's a Ryan Poles guy, could be the year Ryan Poles looks at the numbers and releases them. He's slightly on the bubble, because I think Scott is definitely going to make the team because it's just his second year. And also you look at the fact that he's viewed as being a speed guy, and you may look at him as a one-trick pony that may be able to really, really take the top off. Speaking when we were talking about taking the top off, if you ask me, I think
Diddy.
I think
I got you. I'm sorry. I had to. I'm so sorry. I had to.
Don't say sorry. It's fine.
Foster, you want to interject before I call
him? What then?
Oh, you pulled him, huh?
I pulled him.
Foster, you want to interject on that? You haven't talked enough tonight. It's your turn.
Well, I've just been listening, man, and talking to a couple people in the chat. So, with Velus, I mean, if that's what we're talking about, we were just talking about Velus. So with him, I believe he's got a really good chance to be on this team. But anything can happen at this point with the amount of players that Poles has brought in. And to me, Poles is always about looking for the next best guy. I mean, the money situation with Velus is correct, but if there's somebody that's going to outplay him, or they see that has the potential to be more valuable than him, and that goes for half the guys on the roster, obviously. Okay, maybe 20 or 30 guys on the roster. I don't see Poles hesitating just because of the way I've watched him work the system that he works in the NFL for the last 3 years here. So
you know what may help Velus though too, the fact that they only have 4 draft picks this year.
Absolutely.
If they had my hand, Kenneth, I'll answer your question when you're done.
If they had 8 or 9, it could be. I can't even say I want to say it could be him leaving. I want to say it could be his ass.
Yeah.
I'll set myself. I'll lob it up. It could be his ass. But the fact that they didn't bring in a lot of prospects this year, it benefits him perhaps remaining on the roster.
Absolutely.
PJ, you want to say something before I go off?
On about Velus Jones?
Yeah.
What do you think? The new guy we brought in, his chances will affect Velus, the guy
DeAndre Carter.
Yes,
a lot. It affected a lot. They didn't bring him in not to be the return guy. I think you'll see a competition. I think it'll help Velus if he can hold on to the ball while he's returning. But he's there in case Vela has the dropsies, so he can help escort Velus is on his way up out of here probably.
Okay. All right, my turn.
Crap.
Kenneth, I said this last week, or maybe it was the show that I did with for the bar room with Aldo Gandia and Dan Aguirre. But I really feel that the Bears, and the Bears should do it before somebody else does it. The Bears should. This is right now we're in a passing league, right? It's a passing league. You see the running teams that like San Francisco. God, how fun was it to watch them kick the Packers' ass just by running the ball down their throats, whether it was Jim Harbaugh with Colin Kaepernick or now with the current coaching staff at San Francisco. Kyle Shanahan. He loves to run the ball, right? Well, before he steals it back from us in a passing league, why don't we kind of flip the tides a little bit? Introduce, and I'm not saying make it a T form formation offense, but why not incorporate a page or two of plays into the playbook that are T formation and use Velus Jones as a running back in those situations, because they're probably going to cut Blasingame, right? Because they're probably going to. My guess is, I'm guessing that Elon Wheeler is going to make the team, and he's going to be that fourth running back that Blasingame would be, because he can use. He can even Waldron can even take Mercedes Lewis, and put him in the backfield in a T formation if you wanted to. But my point to this is, why not become the team that brings it back before somebody else does it? Because we know how the league is fluid. It goes up and down. It's going to switch at some point. It's going to go back to a running league soon, in my opinion. I might be wrong, but maybe not super soon. But in the next 10 years, why not set that market right now as the Bears, who ran the T formation? Get a bunch of plays in your playbook and use them. And you can use a Velus Jones as an extra running back. And you can use a Mercedes Lewis as a blocking back. You can use Caleb Williams as a decoy, as a running back that's now actually passing it, because they think you're going to run. You're in a T formation. Now everyone's rolling out right. But oh, look, they forgot that no, Caleb Williams can still pass the ball. So boom. And I was calling for this even with Justin. Like, that would have been perfect for him, because of the situation he was in with being able to run the ball so well and being known for it. So I'm still pounding the table for just bringing back the T formation in some fucking formation, in some way, shape, or form. Just introduce it back to the Bears, man. I see that look on your face. You sound like you're going to say no.
No, well, two things. Me personally, I've thought about them using Velus as a running back more often for the passing game, or just so I don't think that's crazy. The league turned into a running league. I don't know about that. And it's because it's kind of like saying the NBA is going to go back to hand checking, where they're selling too much money passing. So they're not going to go back to where and flip the rules to make it where it doesn't benefit passing the rock. Quarterbacks can play to their 45 because they don't get hit like when we were kids. You know what I'm saying? Wide receivers, we just saw what Justin Jefferson got paid. You know what I'm saying? So passing is sexier. So I'll say this to you too. First of all, Kyle Shanahan, I love Kyle Shanahan because he makes running sexy. Like he makes running the rock what it is supposed to be. You know, it takes a soul out of a team running the ball, like how they run the ball. And then you add in when they brought in Christian McCaffrey to what they can do in the passing game compared to just how well they were running the ball. It defeats you, you know. So I love running the ball because it's fundamental football. But most people don't believe they can show, and I'm referring to offensive-minded coaches and coordinators, that they can show their brilliance through running. That's one thing that Kyle Shanahan and Mike Shanahan showed us when he was with all the running backs. Shout out TD. All the running backs he had in Denver. So I just don't necessarily see that being. I will say this: I think running may it may blow up again, but I can never see it. And we just see with the devaluation of running backs now, where nobody really believes, unless you're one of the best running backs to come into the league, they're not going to waste a draft pick on you in the first round, making you their running back, and they're only going to really use you up for that first contract. The chances of you being a Elliott or, you know, just one of these running backs that gets the second deal a lot of times are few and far between. You look at what Saquon had to go through with the Giants. So, and again, he had injury problems, but still we knew the type of talent that he was.
So just hear me out. Let's say you're in a single tight end formation with a slot receiver, and that's Velus Jones. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then from that position, you have a single back formation, right? From there, you go into you audible it, and then boom, Mercedes Lewis comes into the backfield, Velus Jones comes into the backfield. Now you got three backs forming a T formation, and then you just swing right. You go right because you put Tevin Jenkins on the right next to Darnell Wright. That's a Hall of Fame duo. We all know it. I don't know why the hell they're not doing it. And then boom, you just run right, or you use that formation to fake that, and everyone thinks you're using that formation to run most of the time, but now that guy's wide open, you pass, it's a touchdown. I think there's a place for it. I do. I
don't think it's crazy. I'm only going to play devil's advocate with this.
Please.
What happens if they just blitz the hell out of you and you got Bayless back there pass blocking?
Oh God. Well, that's what Mercedes Lewis is for.
I know you said I know, but he may be on the opposite side though. Like, because clearly I'm sending the heat where Bayless is at.
Well, I know that's the pass. That's the pass.
But you better be able to get it off quickly enough. But that's what I would do is he's gonna have to do some blocking. Like, or listen, whoever's spying him, jam his ass up. Like, slow him down. You're gonna slow that release.
Let's not let logic enter into the conversation here. You gotta let Shorty have his way now. You gotta let him have his pipe dream here. Can't let logic interfere with that now. You can't do that.
My bad. I apologize.
I like to pontificate on this show, Kenneth. That's my pontification has been for years now. Just come on, let's bring the T formation back just a little bit.
You
Stay off the weed.
Hey, I played in the T formation for 3 seasons, Kenneth. That was our
look how you turned out.
That was back when we played high school football.
No, and it was a mess, man. But it was very interesting, very interesting.
Because you had a quarterback that couldn't pass.
Wait, the first year we brought the T formation back, we went 14-0, and then I think in the next 2 seasons that I played, we were like 1-22 or something.
But Shorty, you think they traded for DJ Moore, they traded for Keenan Allen, and they drafted Rome Odunze. They brought in Gerald Everett, and they're going to go to the T formation?
Now I have to pull myself.
See, you use the logic, Kenneth.
Much better. Much better.
You use the logic, Kenneth. Can't let logic enter in here, bro.
I can dream, right? I can dream.
Yes, you can. You can. I mean, but look, and again, I'm not just saying this because there are ways to use old things creatively. Mm-hmm. You know, there's a way, but then that gets back to the Shanahan thing. It's knowing, okay, one, giving them something, then throwing something totally different out of that formation. Like, I'm waiting. I'm gonna show it to you, but I'm about to do something you're not even expecting because you expect me to go left when we're not even going left here. So I get it. It's just the way the league has changed is the real reason why you really just think about it. Remember when everybody was going Wildcat crazy?
Yeah,
that was supposed to be the thing. The Wildcat. And it was like, go ahead and get knocked out if you want to. And again, you couldn't gain enough yards having running backs under center to really stick with the Wildcat because you have to get chunk yards within the NFL or consistently get yards if you're going to win games within the NFL.
Okay, fair enough.
It's a freaking loot.
Hopes and dreams ruined. I want to pull a quick trivia question from this calendar that my wife got me. It's a fact or trivia every other day. So I want to ask a trivia question really quick, just to kind of interrupt the subject. Who set a franchise record that stood 26 years when he scored 541 points from the Bears from 1949 to 1958? I don't know.
Sounds like Foster territory to me.
Yeah.
Who set a franchise record that stood 26 years when he scored 541 points for the Bears from 1949 to 1958?
49 to 58. Wow, that's.
It's not Red Grange?
Hill. No, Red Grange is 20s.
20s? Yeah, you got me with that one.
Hill.
I'm going to go. I don't know the answer. I'm going to go with the quarter. Who's the quarterback? Who's the quarterback?
Sid Luckman.
Sid Luckman. I'm going to.
That's what I was trying to go.
No, but see, no, I'm wrong because Luckman was 39 to 49.
Woo, Foster, you're on it.
I told you.
Kenneth, I've got it guaranteed that my family's been following the Bears since 1932, but I believe it's 1921 when my father returned. My grandfather came back from Europe and moved to Evanston, and they lived here in 21, the year the Bears came to Chicago.
Wow.
Because we've been following the Cubs and the Bears, I know for a fact, since 32. And I mean, it's not just like one person. It's 40, 50 people in my family going through the decades. There's probably 150 family members that follow the Cubs and the Bears to this day.
That's dope.
For some reason, my two youngest kids are Sox fans, but
good for you. Good for you.
Can't
Well, I don't want to say good for them right now.
I love the Sox too, dude. I watch.
It's not that. It's just it's bad business on this side. It's bad business.
I'm a Chicago fan, is what I am. That's how my parents raised me to be, man. So.
Okay, we got some answers in chat. What's your answer?
Yeah, what these guys look.
Any clue? 541 yards from 1949 to 1958.
Yards or points, but
points. Sorry.
Oh, points.
My guess would be Sid Luckman. I have no idea. If it was Foster, I wouldn't be surprised. But
Kenneth is looking up on his phone now.
No, I'm looking at an Amazon order. I'm not looking at. I'm not cheating.
That put us right in our place, man.
I'm not cheating. I wouldn't cheat. I don't know. Why would I cheat? I would like someone like that defeats the purpose.
Keds might be right. No,
Ked says Johnny Lujak.
That could be Johnny Lujak or Harlan Hill. Not Harlan Hill.
DVD says could be George Blanda. The Nodge says Blanda. George Blanda.
You know what? It probably is George Blanda because he got traded to he left here in 56 or 57.
I thought he left in the 60s.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay.
If I'm not mistaken, because he had been in the league so long, if I'm not mistaken, the Hallis kind of thought he was getting old and they traded him in like 1958.
Yeah, the answer is George
played
Blanda.
Until 75.
George Blanda?
George Blanda.
Yeah. That's the
You want
answer?
one more? Yeah, George Blanda.
Yeah.
You want one more?
That makes sense. Yeah.
Let's get a modern question, sir.
What player set a club single-season record when he posted 18.5 sacks for the Bears in 2021? That's too easy.
Yeah, let's go with another one.
All right, let me get rid of that.
Yeah.
Robert Quinn?
Without.
Out of here.
Hello, then.
What dynamic Bears return man brought back 13?
Could it be Devin
Hester? Next.
What speedy return man made the Pro Bowl after averaging 13.9 yards on 18 punt returns and 23.5 yards on 21 kick returns for the Bears in 2021?
Is that Mr. It's not Tariq Cohen?
Little short dude.
Yeah, the wide receiver that we got from Miami. I can't remember his name. He ended up on.
Yeah, he actually almost. Or did he win that Green Bay game? I can't remember.
You know what I'm talking about, Ken?
He was awesome.
Yeah, no, you're talking about. I remember the kid from Miami that they brought up in here that we should have probably held on to.
But then he went to the Browns and got himself injured. I can think of, or I can remember all of this, but not the kid's name.
You're all correct. Jakeem Grant.
Thank you.
I was going to say Grimm.
Oh, you want one more from the 70s? One more from the 70s. How about that?
All right.
What three-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle wore uniform number 60 for the Bears from 1973?
My boy.
Wally Chambers.
77.
My boy. I'll go ahead, Ken. You go ahead. I'll give you a good crack at it. It's my guy, though. You don't know?
Tell me. No, tell me.
Wally Chambers. Wally Chambers was a stud, man. That dude
Wally
was a
Chambers was a stud. Him and Mike Hartenstein in 76 unofficially had 29 and a half sacks from the Bears defensive line. Unofficially, but you can count them. Yeah. We watched it, right, Peach? We saw it.
Man, Wally Chambers was nice, man. He was
traded in the Tampa Bay.
Quick. He was quick. He was nice. Yeah.
I'm right there with you. I'm like, I have no idea.
Wait, so what? He was doing this from the interior?
Yes.
Now, were both of them DTs or was one an edge rusher?
Hartenstein played both positions.
Right.
Okay.
So
but Wally was a defensive tackle. And I think we traded him and got a first-round draft pick out of it, didn't we?
Tampa Bay.
Yeah. Traded him to Tampa Bay. Yeah, he was nice,
that
man.
in the division at that time, too, then?
Yes.
Wow, that's crazy.
They came in 76, and the Bears traded him in 77.
Now,
Tampa Bay came in.
PJ, this Wally guy has no affiliation with the Walmart advertising that you were doing last week, does it?
Well, that was Wally World. This is Wally Chambers. There's a difference.
There's got to be a couple Chambers at Walmart, man. I don't know. I'm just asking. Chat was curious. There
is that, but then you got to think about where is Waldo. So you got to keep them all together. So Waldo, Wally World. Got it?
Kenneth, I'll fill you in real quick. Last week, PJ's power went out, and he, on the live stream last Thursday, took himself to Walmart and live streamed himself shopping for lanterns. It was excellent.
I hold nothing back. I hold nothing.
Tablet and everything. Put it in the cart, walked around the store, started asking people if they were Bears fans.
I hold nothing back, man.
Made fun of him in line so people could hear. It was great.
Man. I do it all for the chat.
The answer to this question is Wally Chambers.
Wally Chambers.
Good job,
PJ. We'll have to make this a segment for this show every week because I like throwing the answer behind my head. That's been fun.
I would agree.
Stuff behind your head.
Kenneth, let's get to a few more chats here before we get too much of a logjam. Tony Moy is asking if you have any updates regarding the Bears' potential new stadium, wherever that may be.
No, I believe we did. We booked 2 interviews for television this week. I think Potsy said he thought they were going to end up going back out to Arlington Heights. Mark Potash,
as they should.
So that's the only thing that I know. It'll be interesting to see if Kevin Warren changes directions. Me personally, let me say this: if I owned the Bears, we would have left already. All right.
Amen.
If I would have never. I'm never going to let someone else own my stadium. I don't own the Bears. I'm an East Side kid that always had the lake as my background or my backyard. I mean, for me personally, stay your ass right there. But again, I don't own the Bears. But my preference would be that they remain in the city because unlike other cities, all of our teams reside within the city. So that's my preference. Also, to be honest with you, it'd be nice to see them do something different with the lake. Like Chicago, I don't think sometimes I think we forget how important architecture is to the Chicago and what the Chicago fire did to change our architecture because we take it for granted. It's beautiful. But it'd be something nice to, you know what? Why can't we reinvent this space and make it a better space that we all can have a part of. But again, if I own the team, I'm going to own my stadium. I want all of my money. All right.
All of it.
Every penny of it. But again, this is just, we'll see, because Kevin Warren clearly did not want to follow the route that Ted Phillips had laid down. And I think there's a lot more to it too, to be honest with you, because that's a lot of money in the suburbs that could be leaving another suburb that may not want to see that money leave them, as far as gambling, concerts, and things like that. So I think it's a lot of things that are taking place that us laymen may not necessarily know behind the scenes what's taking place.
Very well said.
Very well said. I think I agree with you on everything you just said. I would love it to be Arlington Heights because I think that they could just make tons of money to help the franchise in with that space that they own and everything they could build there. Plus, I'm biased because whenever I come home, my family lives in like the northern suburbs, so I can take a Woodstock or a Crystal Lake train from wherever I stay when I'm home right to Arlington Park, and it would be so much easier than the trek going down to, Union Station or whatever the other station is, and then you got to get a ride, and a lot of them are pretty cool. They're like $20, and they'll give you all you can drink beer. But if I'm doing that, at 10 o'clock.
Some people like getting rides, by the way.
It's so difficult, Kenneth. All he does is sleep on the train all the way there and all the way back.
Yeah. I'm biased because I'm lazy.
I'm there. I've seen it.
Yeah, I did it with you. But I would love to. I'm there with you as far as like it's staying on the lakefront and them rebuilding the whole atmosphere of the lakefront and how beautiful would that look if they could, make between the columns a park and everyone's walking where they played for, however many years, for 50 plus years.
Exactly. And also, like, to a degree, like if we're talking about national championship games and stuff, I don't want to go all the way out to Arlington Heights. That's a lot of money that could help when you're talking about restaurants and service industry here in the city. I mean, this is the jewel of the Midwest. You can dish Chicago as much as you want. There's only two metropolises in this country. It's New York and us. Because if you've been to LA, it's nice. It's sweet. Don't get it twisted. But
it's not a metropolis, though.
It's not a metropolis.
Shout
out to my RIP and shout out to Anthony Bourdain. But it's not a metropolis. And this is a very special place. If you've been to other places, I guess maybe Manhattan to be the only place that can rival. There's no downtowns in. No New York team has that skyline even from their stadium. That's the point that I'm even getting to. Like when you're talking about how special this city is, I've said it on the show. I had a friend that lived in Nevada, and we were coming right over the hump where you get to the Field Museum by Soldier Field. And he was like, "Do you see this view?" And he was like, "You take this for granted." And I was like, "Yeah, you're probably right. I do take this for granted." So for me, keeping with the aesthetics of our four main teams being within, Chicago, what it could do, I would prefer it. But at the end of the day, and I love this about Chicago fans, everyone was fine with them basically moving to Arlington Heights. We were cool. It was like, yeah, I understand. And I mean, that shows the growth and how smart we are as fans now too. It's like, it makes economic sense, you know what I'm saying, with what they can do. But if you're telling me what my preference would be, like I said, that would be my preference, that they do exactly the renderings that you said, Shorty. I would like to see that take place because it's time to do something new on the lake. You know what I'm saying? Like it would make sense. But go ahead.
I think though, even if they did build out in Arlington Heights, that downtown Chicago will still have the draw if they have a major event at Arlington Heights, because a lot of people will still want to come to the city. So those restaurants downtown will still be booming because of the fact that the Bears actually have an event there. Although it's a little bit away, they'll still come back to downtown Chicago and get their eat on.
To a degree, but I think when you're talking about building a Bears kingdom out there, if we're talking about everything with the acreage they can build, it's going to be a lot of reasons to where it's like, why am I going to drive to the city? There's restaurants, and also, and I allude to, you still got Rosemont out there. You have different things to where you don't have to. I'm with you. If you have something that big, some people are still going to come to the city. But imagine if it was just in the city, and you already have all those people staying in hotel rooms downtown, so they're going to spend their money here. And so that's just part. But again, to take all of the economic stuff out of it, as Foster was talking about earlier with his family and with Wrigley and with the Bears and the Cubs. I grew up. I came into this world after they moved to Soldier Field, so that's been the only place that the Bears have played in my lifetime. So that means something to a degree. I understand, and I'm fine with letting it go. It's not going to end my world. I still got stuff I got to do besides worrying about where a team is playing. But again, I'm just pointing out my preference.
I get it. I want to just throw this in there. And this is just part of history. Because the Bears did play at Wrigley Field and the Cardinals played at Comiskey Park.
Right.
It was like the Cubs and the Sox, man.
Right.
And Soldier Field is such, well, they ruined it actually by when they did the remodel, because the history of that place, the Joe Louis fights, car races, like when car races were new in the 19-teens.
Right.
Just the things that were done at Soldier Field. All the Notre Dame games and the Northwestern and even Illinois, and they used to play the Big Ten Conference Championship at Soldier Field. All the things that happened at Soldier Field just without the Bears being there, if they brought more of that back into it too, they could recoup some of this money. It could make everybody happy, because I think the Bears, and we as fans especially, deserve to have a glory playland for the Chicago Bears, man. Look what they've made us go through for the last 50 years.
And the NFL is their economy is larger than most countries, and the Bears are probably 25% of that economy, just because of our fan base is so ridiculous. Why wouldn't you want it to remain in Chicago? Why wouldn't you be begging them to stay and doing everything you can to make it work for them to stay in Chicago? It pisses me off that there's so many loopholes and shit to go through for it.
And they gotta sell them land that they can own, or it just why would you do it? Why would you do it? And Chicago, it is what it is. It's so corrupt, it's ridiculous. Things are just not, they just don't happen like they should. And that's right. I don't want to get into
no, you don't have to. That's fact. This is facts. That's Yep. It's the state of in Chicago. It's the state of Illinois too, but it definitely it's here. It definitely festers here,
for sure.
Let's call an audible here and get on to another question. Again, want to avoid a logjam. So when we did our live stream for day 3 of the NFL draft coverage, Mr. Shortino here had a mental breakdown and almost cried at the feet of his wife when the Bears ended up drafting, in my opinion, a blue chip punter with Tory Taylor. And Scottish Bear was curious how you feel he'll be able to punt more towards the back end of the year, kind of with the the Windy City.
I don't know, because he has to get used to it. Like I'd be lying to you if I told you what he would do on the lakefront with the type of winds that be whipping around that time of year. It's going to take him. They're going to take him out there though. They're going to I forgot I asked somebody this question like a couple of weeks I was on the show. They're definitely going to take him out there and let him practice out there. Gifted leg. I'm also a co-host on Big Ten Country for NBC, so I watched a lot of Iowa football and their terrible offense, but their defense and special teams was crazy.
Tory Taylor was the offense.
Right. So, I mean, he's definitely gifted. I'll be honest with you. I was surprised by that selection. I text Josh Schrock, our Bears insider, who was at the draft at that time. So I said, so they're going to trade the draft pick and jump back in for a defensive end in the 5th round, right? And he was like, I don't think they are. And we know they did. But that was my first reaction when they took Tory Taylor. Like, what are you doing on the defensive line? Because you guys got one guy. And you let Justin Jones go. And we saw that when that one guy came, Justin Jones was better than how he had performed. So, again, I get why they're doing it, but I wouldn't have done it. And it's not I'm not dissing it. I hope that it's not a Todd Sabron situation. I hope, I hope it's not. I hope it's not, Carl. But we'll see. But if I was the general manager, I probably wouldn't have made the move. I think you're on an embarrassment of riches when you're like, yo, we're that close where I can take a punter in the 4th, and I only got like 3 or 4 picks in this draft. You really also, I don't think the Bears were that ready.
It was a confident pick.
It's a very confident. You're laying them on the table, to say the least.
Yeah.
When you're making a pick like that.
Yep.
So your answer segued perfect into the next question from Doug. You obviously just said that you feel the Bears are thin at edge. as far as the defensive line as a whole, Doug is asking kind of just what's your overall stance on that?
I don't like it. I think you're asking a lot of Gervon Dexter to be that person. You're really saying he has to be him this year for this defensive line to do what it needs to do when you have a defensive-minded head coach, de facto defensive coordinator who doesn't like to blitz. And what usually cover two scheme guys don't like to blitz anyway. And we saw that he had to. And now the league knows that Montez Sweat may be better than what we all expected him to be with the amount of talent they had with the Commanders. I think we thought he was good, but he looks like he's a little bit better than good. But they're going to be shifting everything his way. People have talked about Yannick Ngakoue returning. I didn't see enough from Yannick last year to where that makes me amped up. I'm cool if they bring him back, but it still doesn't answer the question of we got two guys. And when you talk about having waves of your defensive linemen, you still don't have. You kind of got a first wave when you look at what DeMarcus can do. You look at, you got guys, but as far as really getting to the quarterback, I don't think they have enough at this point, particularly where you look at the 3 technique and how important that guy is. You're really saying Gervon Dexter has to take a huge step this year if you're going to be pressuring the quarterback from the front 4, which they need to do when you have such a strong defensive backfield and some nice linebackers that can cover.
Do you have any inside information per se about whose Bears may be looking at that the general public don't know about that you're willing to share?
I don't have any. I think everybody knows Yannick. It's a good chance that he may return, and that's really the only thing. This isn't any inside information. I've opined for the Bears to bring in Calais Campbell for the last 3 years. Just again have a vet who could be a guy that's like a DeForest Buckner was for the Colts, where you're not talking about traditional 3 technique as far as I'm shooting the gap, but I'm talking about, hey, I can still disrupt from this position. I think they needed another veteran presence, even if he's not dominant at this point in his career, but someone who's crafty as you know what, that can really help that line. But no, to answer your question, I don't have anything. No one's giving me any information as far as what they may do is bringing in somebody that could really pique our interest, to say the least.
Are you surprised they didn't go after Jonathan Allen in a trade or anything?
No, I think money. I don't know. Like, it's funny because, to be honest with you, a lot of the rumors before free agency started was, you know what, the Bears may just double down and have 2 huge contracts on the defensive line. Now, I don't know if it was a situation where the player that they was willing to spend that money on didn't come to fruition, but that was really the rumors I was hearing. And I'm be honest with you, I was kind of like this on it, where it's like, cool, and it makes sense, but I'd rather, when you're talking about I can invest in a draft pick and bringing in somebody young, compared to where you look at where Montez Sweat is, he's still in his prime, but he's getting closer to 30. But yeah, that was the thing that stood out to me, that they were talking about, you know what, we'll double down with big contracts on the defensive line to shore up that line right now. And they didn't do it. And I don't know if it was a situation depending on opportunity or if they were really going to do it or not.
And Kenneth, I really had my heart set on Wilkins, the player who left in free agency from the Dolphins to the Raiders. I had my heart set on that player. So for you to say that, it's kind of demoralizing, but thank you. The last question, I think in chat, you guys can yell at me if I've missed anyone, but Tony Moy is asking kind of what your thoughts are regarding Nate Davis. I know that Foster here has his questions about the interior offensive line. I guess 2-parter. Do you think Nate Davis is a starter as per Tony Moy? And what are your general thoughts on the Bears' interior offensive line?
Nate Davis is all right. The things you hear about him being a clock guy, as far as he just shows up for the time he's supposed to be at work. It's concerning because you would think that your general manager would know that about a player before bringing him in. I don't think Nate Davis after this year may be long for the Bears. You mentioned it, a shorty. I'm a huge Tevin Jenkins guy, but Tevin has to stay healthy. I love Tevin Jenkins. I'm happy he's matured. He's finally matured. It's what you hear a lot about Tevin. But Ned Davis is straight. I don't think necessarily he's the answer, but I'll be honest. I hope Ned Davis proves me wrong and is one of those guys that has a good year. And we're all sitting there talking about, man, remember when we wasn't really big on Nate Davis? But that's a hope. I don't think it will happen, but I hope it happens, because the problem with the Bears, and a lot of people haven't liked this when I've been on shows over the last year, they have better depth than they've had on offensive line. Their depth has been atrocious. Like they act like they had Pro Bowlers starting because they had projects behind the regular guys starting, which is like, hold on now. You got to even have some vets behind those guys, because they're going down. And that compromised Justin. They compromised Justin's play, but also it compromised Justin's health. Like even when you talk about reps, remember last year in the preseason, it was like, yeah, we're not even going to play. They were going to play Justin, but it didn't, because it's like the offensive line. It's like, that's on you. Like, those guys, like you're supposed to make sure you got enough healthy bodies in there so that you can get the reps so the offense can go for. So that kind of bothered me. But yeah, that's my thoughts as far as the interior. The interior, let me get back to you said the whole interior of the line. I think they're better at center than they've been during Ryan Poles' era, saying with Shelton and Bates. I think they're better. And I mean, at least when you're looking at Bates, we know he can play guard and it's better than, perhaps we hope he's better than Lucas Patrick, because that was a debacle as far as
I can only pray so often.
He was terrible guard. I mean, he was so bad at guard, you didn't even want to see him play center, because it was like, I don't even care. If you can't do that, the questions of you being stout, like in the middle of the line, is like, come on, bro. Like you, and that was the thing when he got here. I was kind of like, dog, people will talk. He's a career backup. They make it seem like he's him, right? And so it's just one of those things. And that is funny, because that Josh had just joined the show. He had come from the Bay Area, NBC's Bay Area affiliate. And our first episode, we were talking about the interior of the line. And I was like, I don't know if Lucas Patrick is the guy, because people act like he's the man. And I said to him, then I said, and I think Father Time's gonna catch up to Cody Whitehair. And guess what? By the time caught Cody Whitehair by the back, it snatched his ass back.
Man,
it was never the same.
Didn't even let him get out of training camp before it snatched him back.
Nope.
I want to pick.
I've been because I've been talking about this since last season, and you guys know it. What have I been bitching about for a year? The interior offensive line specifically, because even the whole offensive line. I mean, we know what we have, and we have a very good idea what we have in Mr. Wright and Mr. Jones. We know what they are pretty much. Hopefully, they're going to progress and develop and be better at the position. We also know there's a couple guys there to challenge them, so that there's some, there's a little fire going on there. But as far as interior offensive line, it looks better, just like everybody said when we brought Patrick in and a couple of these other guys. But I'm with you on this, Pete. You know how we talk about it, man. I don't know exactly what we have, because I haven't seen all these guys, even any of them other than what we have, play 17 games in a season. I don't have 17 games of a guys playing center every week or playing guard. So I got to see it. I got to see it. And then Tevin's health. And then, I mean, we were talking about the guard play. You guys remember the three centers, the snap problem we had for 7 or 8, 10 weeks? Nobody talks about that even.
They were in chat.
I am just, I don't pay attention to chat anymore because they're pissing me off. No, I'm joking.
Get your ass out of here, Foster.
No, because it's just this is my thing. I say this. This is my most concerning point of the whole team. I agree with everything you said as far as the defensive line, but I think there's more there than we think on that end of it. At least we know that we have an idea. I think Pickett's going to turn out better than people are talking in the last year. And as far as Junior, I just see he was one of my guys that I actually picked for us in that draft, Gervon Dexter. So I think I really like that end of it, but I'm always concerned with the interior offensive line. And this leads me to my question, because I know Shorty wants to say something. Have you watched film, and are you familiar with Keith Randolph out of Illinois? Because he's one of my he's kind of my Jack Sanborn of this draft, for lack of a better term.
Yes, I watched a lot of the law firm. I watched a lot of the law firm this past year. So again, look, you know how many people, and I saw him running out of a room with some young lady who was a woman of the night, I guess. I think it was with Terrell Lewis. Is it Terrell Lewis? Who was the Bears defensive line?
Oh, yeah.
You know how many people Foster told me 2 years ago that Boy, Terrell Lewis, he's gonna be the one. And again, I'll say this: I don't think they should have let him or Gibson go last year. I thought your defensive line isn't good enough to let those guys walk. I'm being honest with you.
Yes,
but you saw why the Rams let him go, and so again, I have to see it. There's a reason why. We know guys that are I won't say undrafted or whatever, that you can find a place on the team and you can become someone. But I have to see it. That's how I usually play when it comes to stuff like that. I have to necessarily see what you do when you get to the pros.
I wanted to kind of add to finish that with Rudolph. My buddy is I've known him since I was 8, and he's an Illini fan over a Bears fan, if you can believe that. And he loved Rudolph. He was like, as soon as we picked him up as a UDFA, he was like, "This is the guy. Like, just watch out for this guy." And I was like, okay. Whenever he says that, he's usually right about his players coming out of Illinois. Even the center that we drafted, what's his name? Kramer. He's like, nope. He's like, he doesn't have the base. He's not strong enough coming out of his stance. He's too weak below the belt. He doesn't have the anchor for it. And he was right. He's always right about these guys coming out of Illinois, and he loves Rudolph. So I'm high on Rudolph just for that.
Keith Randolph.
Keith Randolph. Keith Randolph. Sorry, thank you. I keep saying Rudolph.
But my thing though with that is you're primarily looking at what he did at Illinois. You're more talking about a nose than than a guy. So and I thought the Bears underplayed a lot of last year on Andrew Billings. You could see that Andrew Billings was better than what they sold us on as him being a run stopper. You could tell, like, wait, this guy's moving that. He's collapsing that pocket. So the thing is, it's not even a diss, you know what I'm saying, to Randolph. It's more that they got a guy that I think is good at that position. I apologize because when we were talking about defensive line and they bring up Billings, I really like Andrew Billings. But again, they need a penetrator. Like,
they need a Tommy Harris.
No Diddy.
Thank you.
Pause.
Thank
now
you.
he's
Thank
back
you.
on that.
Hey,
But
I was going to volunteer for that position.
But you
wide receiver.
You got to get somebody that can get to the quarterback. I got to watch my words, but you got to get someone,
especially getting this late in the show. You definitely have to watch your words about him.
You got to get and that. So that's still like, because the thing about it, but this is the thing. Let me say this. Well, let me finish that. You can't. They have to get better there. You can't fix every hole that the Bears have. Like, Ryan Post has done a really good job of covering a lot that we didn't think you'd be able to do in a few years. You know what I'm saying? Particularly how late when you got the job. That first draft, because almost a watch. He didn't really even have any picks. You know what I'm saying? When you're talking about that first draft, he has done a tremendous job. Because if you look at the trades and you put the players that he's traded for with these picks in that draft, you like, man, look at what they've done. But you can't do everything, but they got to do better. Like, after this season, and again, I hope they find an answer in-house, Foster. I hope they do. But you gotta do, and they got enough draft picks next year to where they can go out and get defensive linemen. Like you can really focus next year's draft, and I hate to just skip ahead, but you can focus it on if Keenan Allen's leaving, going to get another wide receiver high. You can focus on the interior of the line. You can focus on the defensive line. Like you could, and then you can look at young linebackers to make maybe to deepen that core just in case, because you got to have guys get hurt. But now you have the benefit of you really have filled a lot of positions, and now you can go out and really kind of have an embarrassment of riches and bring in players that you'll be able to help this team moving forward.
I wanted to piggyback off what you said earlier about Tevin. The reason why I think he's going to have that, I have an observation more than a theory. It's an observation that players that are in a contract year always play their best, especially when you look at Tevin Jenkins' situation. He's now a new daddy. He's, like you said, he's matured more. You can see his confidence. It's a different Tevin Jenkins at the podium now than when he was first drafted, even into his second year. He's a different guy. you can see that confidence kind of starting to come out. I think that this is the year for him. He's going to not only be off or very unoft injured compared to previous seasons. He might miss a game or a half a game or something like that, but I don't see him like being injured for any lengthy period of time. And I see him balling the hell out this year because that's what players do in their contract years. And he's not the kind of guy that I'm worried about given that big contract, like a Nate Davis, who's not going to show up for voluntary OTAs with a new offense and a new quarterback and all that. He's going to be the guy that's going to be there and be reliable. And whether it's, if he does get injured in the future here and there, his heart is always in this game. And man, just keep him on the right side. And you're going to see what this kid can do, especially in this season in his contract year. I truly believe that.
I think what you're saying is a hope as opposed to what the reality may be, because so far the reality has shown that he can't stay healthy. I mean, he's tenacious when he's on the field, and I agree with you. He's a heck of a player, but the problem is, for whatever reason, every year he can't stay on the field, and sadly, I think something might happen again this year. And
it's not his fault, but it's just the facts of what it is. Yeah. Like I have to see it. Because I don't think it's particularly after his rookie season, because he's a rookie coming into the league. He doesn't know. I think he's probably done a lot to make sure he stays on the field. It just hasn't happened. And Mark Colombo, it's just one of those things where it just may be where it doesn't. And I'm with you. I hope he does. And I hope this is the year where he proved that but I have to see it take place because it hasn't happened. Now, I hate that because, again, I'm a huge Tevin guy. And I want him to remain on the Bears. It was a question of, was he a Ryan Poles guy? And it seems like he's become that. But again, availability is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Very well said.
It is what it is.
Leonidas saying, I don't give a fuck if he has heart, he can't stay healthy. And I'm about to type, he had to grow up in the league a little bit, in my opinion, because I think he came in a little bit immature mentally. And I think he's grown in that regard. And by that, I mean, there's a lot of times players tick off games because they could still play, but they don't. And I think that there might have been some cases where he could have played, but he didn't. And I think that with the strength and conditioning that he's been doing for like going on now 3 years, going into his 4th year, I think you add up those moments of now he's been building the strength. He's been working on the areas that have been giving him the issues. And he will, I think now moving forward in this season, I think he might play a game where he might have normally sat out because, whatever was ailing him. I realize he's had like back and neck injuries that might have caused him to really actually miss time and not have been able to play through.
Stinger in his neck last year.
Yeah.
But if he's working, he's when you hear him in his press conferences, you hear him, Kenneth. He's committed to working on those things to prevent those from happening again in the future. He's working on strengthening his core and Pilates and whatever he has to do for his neck now. I'm sure he's working on that, and he's building up his core from the ground up. And my hope is, and my observation, my expectation is that he actually balls the hell out this year because,
yes,
Kenneth.
Pause.
The one thing that you don't know is I've called the Bears personally to be 13-4 this year and win the Super Bowl with a rookie quarterback. And the reason why is because that's what the Bears do. They go all these years without a quarterback and they finally get one and he's a rookie and they have this team built around him and boom, they become the first team to win a Super Bowl with a rookie quarterback.
That's what the Bears do.
That's what the Bears do. They totally blow your expectations. Like you would not you're going to expect them to have. You're going to expect Caleb Williams to be a bust.
Drinking the Kool-Aid.
Everyone's expecting the Caleb Williams to be a bust because
who's expecting Caleb Williams to be a bust.
I'm not saying we are, but the outside world is. I'm sure.
I don't know. I don't think the outside world thinks. The outside world thinks that Caleb Williams is set up to succeed. And we'll see. They may think the Bears are the only reason that he But most people believe what the Bears have done and how he's played, they don't think he's going to be a bust. That's not
okay. Perfect. So he'll be the first quarter.
I don't think they're going to win a Super Bowl this year.
Come on, he'll be the first rookie quarterback to win the Super Bowl.
I mean, if
the Bears.
Shorty, if you're right, great. I'm not saying it. I mean, great. I mean, that's great. I mean, that's fun times for all of us. But they're just still learning. Also, the thing is, the Bears, I hate to say this, the Bears are set up to fail with the back end of the schedule. You know, and I had the Bears getting 10 victories this season. We do a random just off the top, and my guys had them getting 9 victories with Alex and Josh. But still, it's that back end of that after week 11 with how Pittsburgh and the Bears schedule is one of the most unfair schedules in the league, that they don't start playing their division rivals, and they're both probably in the best division in both of their conferences now. When you're talking about the NFC North and the AFC North, and now that's when you start playing Detroit, the Packers, and we don't know what the hell the Vikings are going to be. Let's not act like with no quarterback, the Vikings didn't win 7 games last year.
Week 11.
Right. So it's like at that point for us, so we don't know what they may be by week. They may have everything working by week 11. And the thing is, it's not even dominating them. Just if they split so if you split, let's just say you split with another one, the Packers and the Lions win both. Let's say the Packers win both games because the Bears play the Lions well so far, but you don't even know what the Lions may be this year. It's just one of those things where it's like, I hope we remember at the end of the year, if the Bears played well for majority of the year, that the schedule was really unfair to the Bears this year. Regardless of them having an easy schedule, that easy part is at the beginning of the year. It is not at the back end of the year. And throw the 49ers in there. Like we just talked about, running the most physical football team in the NFL. You have to play them towards the end of the second half of this year. It's going to be a gauntlet what the Bears have to go through if everyone's healthy in the NFC North and the 49ers, and if Seattle's decent at the back end of the schedule.
Ken, my point regarding that, while I jump back in, don't you think it'd be less forgiving for the NFL to say, okay, the Bears have to start the season in Green Bay against the Packers, week 3-4, go to the Lions. Wouldn't you want to have Caleb Williams get more NFL experience before he plays those teams?
No, because you know what the Bears have done usually when you talk about with with Aaron Rodgers, where remember that year they hurt him, and we were like, man, Aaron Rodgers is going to be hurt, and he kind of was in it. Like they actually started off a couple of those years where they played the Packers well early on. They just gave the damn game away. Basically, even if
that was the MAC game, yeah,
right. So no, I'd rather them get that early because division games can be, and it can help the Bears because the team. Well, there can be rough games, and the point is, this division is tougher than it has really been in a long time. As I alluded to earlier, usually usually the Bears and the Lions don't know what the hell they're doing, and it's either the same year or off years, but they're usually inept. Right, when it comes to like what are they thinking? The Lions know what the hell they're doing, and right now it looks like we definitely know what the hell. What the Bears, the Bears know what the hell they're doing. The Vikings are usually a good regular season team. You know what I'm saying? Like that's always for most of our lives. They've been a good regular season team. Now, I didn't grow up with the Purple People Eaters in the '70s when they was getting it done, getting to championships. But the Vikings kind of got their stuff together. They just usually don't have a quarterback that can close the deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's usually what the Vikings' problem is. And the Pack, listen, if Jordan Love does not regress, goodness gracious. You know what I'm saying? Like, whoa. Like, and look, if that defense like, the problem is that defense has been underperforming with the amount of draft equity they invested in it. If that defense plays to the level of talent that it has consistently, it's going to be hard, y'all. I'm just being honest. Like, I think sometimes we think the Packers rebuilt. They didn't rebuild. They switched the quarterback out.
Yeah,
they didn't rebuild.
Like what you're saying is
they do that, and then a little bit of retooling. Like, look what they just did with their wide receivers, man. Two of those guys, I was like, hoping the Bears would get. I wanted Romeo Dobbs so bad, but it's gone, man.
I mean, I thought this a couple years ago. Well, we're playing the Packers with a new head coach, a new offensive system. This is going to be our first time to, they're not going to have the tape on us, right? So I was very confident in those games, and we still lost them. we beat the Niners in the rain game, but after that it was just kind of like. But now, to your point though, Kenneth, now they're going to have all this game tape of the Bears going into week 9, moving forward, and that actually could help us. I never really looked at it as being. I always thought the schedule was favorable until you just said that. You kind of put that into perspective.
What's the injury situation going to be by week 11? That's one of the things I think of looking at hitting Green Bay that late, man.
Yeah.
Interior offensive line.
Well, I think what we also overlook is the fact that, the beginning of the year looks pretty easy. But like last year, if we come in without our guys having many reps and continuity to where they come out the year flat, I think that's going to be problematic. What do you think about that, Kenneth?
Could you repeat that real quick? I apologize, PJ.
You know how we started off slow last year because of our lack of playing time for our starters during the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
Do you foresee that happening again this year, or do you think Eberflus has learned from that?
I don't know.
I don't either.
That's a really good question, PJ. I don't know. The excuses used last year, as far as the offensive line, we talked about that earlier.
Right.
I don't know if that'd be used. I think it would make sense for them to play more. Also, you have the Hall of Fame game in there to get more reps. It would make sense to me for them to take advantage of the live action, particularly with the offensively. Everything is new on offense. A new quarterback, a new philosophy, new coordinator, new players on offense. You need live reps against somebody who doesn't care about if you get hurt or not. I mean, the opposing team. You know what I'm saying? Like you need that type of action, particularly when you're talking about that you're not in pads and it's not live during training camp like it was back in the Platteville era and stuff like that. So you need, but I would hope they would, to answer your question. I'll say this. I think because they have more talent, they should run into more touchdowns. I mean, the Bears have never been this. They've never been this talented on offense. I feel like in my lifetime, never.
Agreed.
Like if you could go back to what Jay Cutler had, I would say the only thing that I would clearly give them is Matt Forte over their running back situation. But the Bears had two good receivers in Brandon, and Brandon Marshall was nice, but he did not have soft hands. You know what I'm saying? He had very hard hands. So he had to catch it because if it was going to bounce off his hands. Alshon was young at that point, but they had two good receivers compared to they got three now. And they had a similar situation with Bennett and Zach at that time. Yeah. But they have right now what we think they may have when it comes to Cole Kmet and Gerald Everett.
Great point.
But they've never been this laden with talent where three receivers deep is nice. I mean, they're like, if they're healthy, I saw somebody say earlier in the chat, Keenan Allen usually doesn't say healthy, and they're right. But the thing is now, if Keenan goes out, you got a young Roman Dunze that's ready to take those receptions and step into that situation.
All of the double teams, he's gonna eat that shit up.
Yes, he is. He is.
He could be the shining star of this season because of the double teams that are going to be from the two top receivers ahead of him. Kenneth, I know we're getting late here. We've gone on 2 hours. I didn't expect you to hang out with us this long. I really appreciate you spending your Thursday evening with us, hanging out with us, getting to know us, having us get to know you and us interrogating you. That's been a lot of fun. Really, really awesome time, man. I want to keep you too much longer, so I just want to say thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. We hope that you had fun, because really our goal of this was we knew your personality would jive well with us, and we want you to come back and hang out with us again when all of this really matters and we have actual stuff to talk about. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I will come back. We're not doing 2 hours though, but I'll definitely come back.
No, well, yeah. Half an hour. I'll settle for that.
You give me half. I'll be here. I'll be here with bells on. But no, listen. First of all, Shorty, thank you for reaching out. PJ, Carl, Foster, everybody in the chat. I appreciate you all taking some time to hang out. But thank you for giving me the privilege to join your platform and come on your platform. I definitely will come back. Great time. Just great interaction. I hope everybody here stays safe, and see you guys when I come back the next time.
Oh, I love that last sentence. Awesome.
I appreciate you, Cuzzo.
Appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Stay healthy, Kenny.
I love
too.
guys like you, Kenneth, and Eric Kramer, who's becoming a friend, and and Glenn Morgan and Mr. Sanchez. You guys are just, I don't know, it's just a pleasure to hang out with you, and you're real too. I mean, it's like in the beginning.
Very.
Right? This is a game. This is fun.
This has been like the.
It's our blast, so thank you so much for being here, man. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
This was the podcast to get to know us. Next time we won't take up so much of your time. We so appreciate
it. I had a great time, so it was nothing like, man, ain't doing my time like that. No, it's just I know the little lady is like, see, it's one of those days you went on the show and you spent the whole night on the. That's kind of where it gets. It's like I gotta go. It is, but no, man, I appreciate it. Appreciate it, man. It's always a pleasure when somebody wants to chat it up with you. So I thank you for chatting it up with me.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much from the bottom of my hearts. Thank you.
Best wishes to you and your family.
Back at you.
We'll see you soon. Hopefully again, Kenneth Davis. Thank you so much for joining us. Give us your best bear down on your way out. 1, 2, 3. There you go. Thank you, Kenneth.
All right, cuz
God bless you, man.
You too, man. Everybody have a great night.
You too. Wow, that was fun. What a fun guest that was tonight. See,
he's so genuine, man. He's so down to earth.
I knew he was going to have fun with us. You guys did a great job. Everyone did a great job. Thank you guys in chat tonight.
Yeah, thank you, chat.
I have to get up early tomorrow because I have friends coming in for the weekend. They're going to arrive at my house while I'm still working, so I want to get up earlier so I can get off work earlier. So that's going to be a good time for us. I have nothing more to say. That was a great show. I don't want to keep this going for 2 more hours. So I love you guys. Thank you guys. Excellent show. Thank you to Kenneth for joining us tonight. You guys in chat, let's get to you. Mr. Mayhem, Cliff Victoria, J2K, Tony Moy, Scottish Bear, DVD. Go ahead. You can take it over from here. STC.
PJ, are you awake, sir?
Absolutely.
We got Mr. Mayhem.
Atmos.
Have we said hello to Scottish Bear? So I don't know if you guys know this about me. I like soccer, and I'm a huge German international fan. Scottish Bear, how does that feel, buddy? A nice 5-1 victory on the opening stage of the Euros. I'll leave it at that. A little salt for the wounds, if you will.
Have you seen the show that the actor bought that team, the Brexit team, whatever?
No, it's 2 guys, right?
Yeah, it's
you're not talking about the fake Apple show with the guy with the mustache, right? You're talking about the other.
Yeah, it's
Wrexham, I believe.
Wrexham, yeah. He bought basically the Chicago
it.
Bears of soccer, and he made them relevant again.
I wouldn't call it the Chicago Bears, man. The Chicago Bears have a decorated history. I'm pretty sure this team is literally nothing.
No,
really?
Wrexham is like the first soccer team of all time, I think.
Yep.
Okay.
And they
Hi,
like
everyone. My roof is leaking.
You better catch it.
Did you guys hear that or no?
Your roof is leaking?
Yeah, it's a friend of mine, and she just happened to call me because we had some storms.
A friend? A paid-for friend?
Hey.
What's the going rate? I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, I just told her to say hello to everybody. Say hi to everybody, Pat.
Hi, everybody.
Your roof's still leaking, huh?
My roof is leaking. I need you, Jim.
Okay, we'll get over there.
he's got to take care of a leaky roof.
Is that his sister?
A leaky bottom.
Is that his sister?
Hopefully that's not your sister. If it was, I apologize.
That is not my sister.
Okay, good.
That's
Thank
a friend of mine
God.
in my neighborhood, man.
Thank God.
The only reason I took the call because she's a good lady. It's a good friend of mine.
Well, let's wrap this up before I have to leave to take my first piss of the night. I'm excited I got through the entire show without taking a piss.
Great night. Thanks,
That's got to be a
everybody.
soundbite. That has to be a soundbite. Oh, removed him.
Guys, thank you all in chat for joining us. You guys know who you are. I mean, Tony Moy, Scottish Bear, Mo Bierman, Mr. Mayhem, Antmis, Doug Van Dorn, Leonidas. Thanks for joining us, hanging out with us tonight. Don fucking Burr for hanging out with us.
We even got a bit. We got a bit out of Kenneth Davis for Don Burr. That was amazing. Special shout out to Jason as well. Thank you for the 2 super chats. Foster, you've got $2 towards the paneling replacement.
Raging Oracle. It's your turn, PJ. You want to get some chat?
I don't think PJ's awake, man.
Well, I mean, I know you're trying to hurry him and get off the show, so I'm trying to let him. I'm following his lead. So
PJ's already texting Kenneth, and he's giving Cole some new information.
Here's a new one. The Nodge. Thank you for joining.
The Nodge was great in chat today.
The Nodge. Thank you for joining us. First time chatter. Thank you.
James Hunter, Charles Johnson, Mo Bierman, Antmus,
King Buka World.
Dude, shout out Keds the Canuck as well. Yeah. This line was amazing. I'm taking a screenshot of this. This was hilarious.
Juggy the Nuggy.
Notorious
TBG. Bearsky Film.
And thanks again, Jason, for the
VHS.
Charles
2K.
Charles Johnson.
Tony Moy. Cliff Victoria.
Bearsky Film.
K.
That's Paulie.
Creighton Wilfong. Great to see you again.
Charles
Johnson.
Leonidas.
Leonidas was in the house.
Yes. Appreciate all you guys in the chat. Thank you guys for hanging out with us, spending your Thursday night with us. Watching our interview and interacting with
Eduardo.
Eduardo Isaac Rodriguez. Jason Toy, another Jason.
King Buka World.
Buka.
So yeah, appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for hanging out with us.
If we missed your name in here, also Jason with the with the red snapper in your hand picture, Jason.
Yeah, Jason. Did you guys get Alan Pena?
Alan Pena.
Alan Pena was here. Yes.
Good to see you, Alan Pena. Thanks for hanging out. Juggy Nuggy.
And of course, my guy Mo Bierman.
That's a good one.
Ready to get jiggy with a Juggy Nuggy.
And Juggy Nuggy. We appreciate you guys. I mean, for the 110th million time, you guys are what makes us go around. We do this because we love hanging out with you guys, and we love talking Bears. So
a little bit.
It's a win-win situation for all of us. We appreciate you guys. I want to just make an announcement that the week of the 4th of July, we're not doing a show because I'm on vacation that week. So no 4th of July Thursday show for you guys. We apologize.
Speak for yourself. I'll let the other gentlemen tell me if they don't want to do a show.
Okay, there you go. You can do it without me. Bush Hog, thanks for joining us. You guys are welcome to do it without me. I promise you that much. All right, guys. I gotta go. I gotta go to bed. I gotta take a leak. Excellent show. Love all you guys in chat. Appreciate you guys. Let's end this shit on a 1, 2, 3 Bears. Ready? 1, 2, 3 Bears.
Bears.